Muslim company here in the US uh, deals heavily with musharaka contracts. So you apply with them and you tell them, I like this house. So they do exactly like anybody else. They'll do an appraisal, they make sure that it's a secured investment, everything goes through it, they look at your credit, everything looks good. So they buy the house worth of 100,000, again for easy math, inshallah, 100,000. So they buy it with 80% shares and you buy it with 20% shares. So they put down 80,000 and you put down 20,000 and they buy the house with you. So both of you are owners of the house. That's musharaka. Okay. Over the years, as you're paying every month, you're paying your monthly mortgage consists of two things, which is rental, because you're using the house, and paying for the principal as well. So over the years, you are buying more and more shares from guidance. So now you are a 30% partner, you are a 40%, you are a 50% until you get it all. So that's one concept. The other concept is the contract called Murabaha. Murabaha is UIF is a leading company with this, University, Islamic Finance, and others. And that is that they buy the house, the same house that you wanted to buy. Or they buy it all, $100,000. And in the same setting, and the same lawyer, while you're doing while they do the closing with the lawyer, and now they are the owners of this house. They sell it back to you over 15 years or 30 years with extra money. So the 100,000 becomes now $200,000 over 15 years. Okay? And this is called Bay'ul Ajal, the deferred purchase. So you're paying more over the years because of the delayed payments. You did not give me my money immediately on time. This is basically all it is that, but because they're together, people get confused and they say it's the same thing, it's the same haram, it's the conventional, you're just twisting and playing with the terminology, but it's actually not. It's really different because they actually bought the house, so they do have an ownership. They have put $100,000 from their own money. They did not go to a third party and seek a loan. They put from their own money $100,000, and they are going to wait for you 15 years to pay it back. Right? So it takes that they transfer the ownership to you, all of this, but they will put a lien on it, of course, until you secure the payment back, until you purchase it. So as a contract, musharaka and murabaha, for you to know, in general, they are good Islamic contracts. So if you want to purchase a house, whether you want to deal with UIF or with guidance or with Divan or with all these leading companies, there are about 5 of them. The scholar said you are fine. Now, they're not the best contracts because, again, there is unfair conditions within the contract. Like a musharaka contract, you know, you are 80%, I'm 20%. So if something goes really wrong in the house, you need to pay maintenance 80% and I pay 20%. They say no. Why? Because they say you are living in the house. We are not living. You say, okay, but you are charging me monthly payment as rental. They have answer for everything and they're legit answers. They say, yeah, we're charging you rent, but we're charging you a very bare minimum rent. You are living in a 2,600 square footage house, and you're paying only $1,000 for a rent. You can't ever find this outside. So this is a very subsidized amount because you are going to be eventually the owner. So to get you out of all this, this is what the scholars do, and this is their job. You are Islamically not liable, whether it's a pure halal or pure haram. You have, this is the job of the Sharia board sitting on this company. For you, you have submitted to the command of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah says, فَاسْأَلُوا أَهْلَ الذِّكْرِ إِن كُنتُمْ لَا تَعْلَمُونَ. Ask the people of knowledge in that field if you do not know. I asked Muslim councils, Islamic councils in the US and Europe and whatever. They have Sharia boards, they have Sharia councils, and they approve these transactions. Not 100%, they're not saying it's not 100% halal, it's not 100% the best, it's not 100% Islamic. But even back home with Islamic banks, by the way, they're not also 100%. You know, just to give you a concept, Islamic banks back home, at least the Middle East, I don't know around the world, but in the Middle East, they don't, when they buy homes and they buy cars for people and then sell it murabaha, you know, different, they don't have 100% ownership. They don't own the product. They end up actually assuming that they're going to buy it for you. They start the transactions and then they're dealing with deferred payments themselves with the manufacturers because they can never afford, like these giant banks that have controlled the world, they don't have that privilege, right? So what they do, they are getting ownership, you know, slowly but surely. They're getting more customers and they're buying more ownership. And it's more of you know, filling gaps here and there. They just cannot financially be able to buy these millions amount of cars and millions amount of homes. So they're also questionable, but we should not worry about this. Allah told us, ask the people of knowledge, and they have allowed it. Khalas, that's all you can stand in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and say, Alhamdulillah. So whatever you are comfortable with. Now, when will you be able to access and buy a home through conventional banks? If you try to go through these companies and you do not get approved, because these companies have way more scrutiny than the conventional banks, because they're taking way major risk, right? So they might not approve you. They might give you very hard time to be approved. So you end up trying, and you just can't get approved. This is where the scholars said at that time, then this is where you can access a conventional bank purchase, inshallah. So that's the concept of mortgages, murabaha, mudaraba in general. Mudaraba is really mainly with business concepts. That's the brothers that ask about business. So I have the efforts, you have the money, we go together, I do the hard work, you invest the money in, and we work together as partners. This is how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wanted the economy to move. Because now instead of me going to the bank and just having, now we're benefiting two people. And the two people might be three people, and it might be five investors, six investors. And actually, if it gets done right, Islamically, if we do it right, by the way, and we follow the longest ayah in the Quran of Ayatul Dayn in Surah Al-Baqarah, and we clear the concepts in a contract, and we go it through lawyers, right? And we finalize everything, the end plan and the exit plan and all the what ifs and what have you, and the partnership and the percentage and the expectations and all that, we should not have a problem. Our biggest problem as Muslims, we impulsively get into it. I trust you, my brother, I trust you, my brother, and then we end up fighting in courts. Why? Because it's not clear. You know, when the business is doing well, everybody's happy. getting money. And but when the business does not do well and now you're struggling, this is where the fight starts. Now I don't trust you anymore. Now I have to fight you in court because of that. So the partnership concept in Islam is really great. It mobilizes the community. It allows a lot of people to benefit from it instead of one person and the bank and one person, but rather many investors. So that's the concept of, we call it, called what? Mudaraba, yes, inshallah. I'm gonna finalize this and open it up for you, bi'idhnillah ta'ala. Uh, Now we're gonna talk about, last thing is the insurance concept. So insurance concept in general, why are they haram? In general, insurance concept in Islam is haram. And all the Islamic uh, uh, institutions around the world, all scholars say that insurance concept is haram for two reasons, or two main reasons. One is that it's not equivalent to the Islamic concept of takaful ijtimai. The concept in Islam of takaful, we all come as a community right here. We put in all money with the intention that we are putting all this money to help anyone that gets into any hardship, right? And we invest this money. Let's say we collect altogether $100,000, and we say we cannot just depend on this $100,000. We take this $100,000 and we invest it in halal investments. We invest 80%, $80,000 in halal investments, and we only give out 20% for the needs. So it starts, the takaful starts slowly. So 80% is being invested in halal stock investments, and 20% is being given out to people, and it takes time and the waiting list and whatever. Now, over the years, the $80,000 has accumulated more and more and more and more. That's the endowment, right? Concept. They don't touch the 80,000, and it grows, 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 but they keep touching the profit and the return of this investment only, not the capital, not the principal. So that's the concept. They invest to do what? To help the people more and more. So insurance concepts, they don't do that. Insurance concepts, they take all the money from the people so they can invest it in halal, haram, they don't care. So they get basically to cover whoever claims a hardship, and the rest of the money does not go to the general pool. It goes to their pockets. That's the biggest problem with the insurance. The second problem with the insurance is what we call in Islamic terminology the gharar, the ambiguity. I don't know exactly what kind of contract I'm getting in. If a hardship to happen, what are you gonna do? Well, it all depends. So we're gonna inspect the hardship. It's gonna be up to us to decide what kind of damages you had and you did not have. That's one thing. Second, they are different than the warranty, and that's why I want you to be very aware of the difference between an insurance concept and a warranty concept. Insurance concept, they come, the inspector look and say the damages, okay, here is a check of $10,000. You can argue it and say, what are you talking about? The damages is way more than this. So you can argue it with them and it's okay, here is a check of 15,000. Let's assume that this is the most you can get out of it. They're giving you a check. So you can use that check to pocket it in your own and never fix any of the damages. And you go maybe get a very mediocre job from somebody and does it for 5,000 and you pocket the 10,000. So it becomes a process of cheating, a process of deceiving, a process of making people honestly play around, and they submit very unrealistic yeah, bits and what have you, and and estimates and what have you. So it makes people play around, and it makes inspectors also play around and to down level your damage and whatever. And worst of all, let's say you get that $15,000 and you're still paying your premium. And then when the time comes for renewal, they tell you, I'm sorry, either they increase your premium. You say, what is this? So they're gonna get it from you anyway. You were so happy with the 15,000. Yeah, I'm gonna get it from you. Or worst of all, they kick you out. And they said, you are a frequent claimer. What's frequent? Well, I just did it the first time. Sorry, you are because this was the first time, and you immediately claimed it. SubhanAllah, what am I going to do then? What are you here for? And the problem, more than this, because they are monopoly, you go to other insurance companies and they have the same database. No, you're not accepted. So what do I do? Just live it without insurance, or go to a very unknown insurance company that claims it's gonna, and then you start paying that company premium, and all of a sudden you hear the company went out of business. Or when you come to claim, they don't even exist. They went out of business. You say, since when? What was I paying? You can end up in courts. Yeah. They are in courts now. What about my money? Sorry. You can claim it if the court wins that case. That's why insurance concepts is very un-Islamic. Warranty concept is completely different. You have two options. Option number one, you go to, let's say, Home Depot. You buy a washer and a dryer. And they offer you, by the way, the manufacturer gives you a warranty of up to 1 year. This is pure halal, and this is given from the manufacturer themselves. It's not exactly you selling me your car. I'm telling you, listen, if you have any problem with the car for the coming 6 months, just bring it back. I'll take care of it. No problem. But what if they offer you a warranty that is not from the manufacturer? It's a third party. This one is not as pure as that one, but still halal. Why? Because the concept of warranty is not ambiguous. The warranty will tell you, we are covering your computer for 2 years, or that washer and dryer for 2 years. So there is an interim. And if anything happens to the washer and dryer, there is nothing called inspection. There is nothing called of giving you a check for $1,000 that you can pocket and go buy your wife a beaten up washer and dryer. No, they actually commit to their promise. They provide that service. They fix it for you. And if it's not fixable, they replace it for you. That's the biggest difference. There is no ambiguity. It's all up to you if you want to renew that warranty or not. And a last question might come from, what if I bought that warranty and the washer and dryer never broke down? So what happened to my money? This is no different than us in the masjid. And I want you, inshallah, to pay attention to it, because this is very important, the concept of warranty. This is no difference than the concept of you all donating to the masjid, and the masjid is hiring our security brothers. So our security brothers are being paid for all the hours that they are spending overnight and throughout the day, right? And alhamdulillah, nothing happened. Do we say, well, your salary is haram now? We don't say that. So it's a service was to be provided if anything were to happen. Alhamdulillah, nothing happened. So you still deserve that salary, you still deserve that money. So that's the concept of warranty. I am ready to replace it, I'm ready to save it for you when it happens. If it doesn't happen, alhamdulillah, you are good with the washer and dryer and you don't need that. The money that you paid is exactly like the salary that you paid. And that's why you renew contracts with the security guard. You hire, you fire, you're not restricted, you're not ambiguous, you're not taking advantage of people. Yes, nothing happened, and you did not save the lives of us, but alhamdulillah, you were there. You physically were ready to safeguard anything that would to happen. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward you for this. Inshallah, it's open now. We can take your questions.
Any question? We have about 5 to 10 minutes of questions. Any questions? I thought there was going to be enough questions on the monthly.
Yeah. They want policy and they say $100,000, but we're going to set it for you for 200. Then coming up with that $100,000 extra on it, it has to include interest. Because the calculation of it, the future value of money, you have to include interest factor and be able to figure out how much in the future will be. That's it. So even knowing that it has interest, you cannot get that amount without it's in the equation.
So that's a very good question. So now a question comes, I entered into an Islamic contract, the house, and somebody's selling it to me over years with extra money. However, the problem, the schedule they use over the 15 years of payment is the same schedule of the conventional banks. And you're very correct, but the Islamic companies have no choice in this because this is regulated by the company, by the government. And it's good that they regulate this because otherwise there will be a major abuse. Now, the payments that government allows the markup of extra. So the Islamic companies, they do mark extra, not because they want to abuse the users, it's because of the risk that they're taking. Because they do restrict them more with what kind of loans, what kind of contracts they sign and whatever, and they're not as big. It's exactly like us going to the market and paying more money to buy zabiha meat, right? I'm paying more, way more than outside, but that's what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants me to. I want to go into the halal concept. So yes, you're right. The schedule is about exactly the same, but this is a regulated schedule with a room and a margin of up and down, but definitely it's not up to the Muslim to, okay, well, because it's Islamic and we're taking a big risk, so we're gonna jack up double the percentage. They can't do.
I wanted to follow up on what the brother said. So the other kind of misconception and mistrust that's really happened in the community around mortgage is that you do it, you are here for guidance, they sell it to you, but they didn't really reveal that who's going to be managing that mortgage is, family or someone that sold the loan to. So is that also allowed where you're taking your loan and then selling it to someone else to actually, manage it and really, yeah, they will offer it like a normal conventional loan.
Yes, this is one of the major flaws of our Islamic alternatives here. But again, the answer came back to the scholars is that this is the only way that we can provide an Islamic alternative. There is no way for us. You're talking about not even Chase, not even Bank of America's, not even Wells Fargo. All of them sell it back to the government banks. All of them. Because it's only government banks that can handle all this risk, right? So that's one of the major concepts that, yeah, you bought it and yeah, you sold it to me. This is all legit, but after 6 months, you sold that. So the scholar said it is the same concept of working at Walmart. So I have nothing to do with that. My contract is the same, the principle is the same, the conditions are the same, all the contract stands intact exactly as I got it. Now, the question goes on the company itself. Is it halal for the company to do that? This is where the scholars say, this is the hajamat, the dire need for Islamic companies to kind of maneuver around this. That's the only way. That's you're right. Why some people, the only alternatives, and they're not really great alternatives. So I'll give you an example. There is a company called Amin Fund, and Amin Fund is operating in California, and they don't deal with government tax at all. They buy the house, they sell you the house, they stay maintaining the house until you get it all purchased. But it's only limited for some parts of California. They don't even offer it for all California, let alone they don't offer it for outside states. So this is very limited. Yani it's a good, great Islamic concept, but we can't access it, right? There is a company that actually we're gonna invite, inshallah, in the coming 2 months, maybe in September. It just started. It's called Nia, Nia something, but Nia, I forgot what's that. So they are very similar to Amin Housing. Amin Housing, now I remember it, Amin Housing, the company. Very similar to Amin Housing. But they do offer to other states, and their concept is that investors, Muslim investors, put all their money. They don't deal with banks at all. They put all their money and they purchase. The only restriction and drawback of this Islamic alternative is they already have waiting list. So if you call them and you sign, they're gonna tell you, sure, yeah, stand Allah, Allah Alam when it's gonna come, your turn. Again, that's the restrictions. That's why guidance and all. They said this is not going to be an alternative. We're gonna serve the community. We're gonna serve only 5%, and the rest are on waiting list. So that's why they had to access that option. And to us, again, the scholars approved it as a dire need. So, khalas, for you as a recipient, you should not have a problem, inshallah.
Assalamu alaikum. I have 20,000 to invest on rental property. Is it okay for me to approach Islamic finance and use that for this investment? Not me living, I just want to use it for rental property.
So the 20,000 you want to invest, what do you mean by investment in a rental property? Yani to buy a property and rent it out? Okay, so someone has 20,000, he buys a small house and he rents it out. So what's the question? Oh, I see what you're saying. So you go, for example, with guidance. You buy a house, you put down 20%, which is the 20,000, and you rent out that to somebody else. So the money you get from the somebody else, you pay the mortgage. Oh, that's purely halal, no problem. Yeah, no problem at all. The only issue with it, you have to get the permission, which is fine with most of the company. You get the permission from the company that I am subcontracting. I am renting to somebody else. If they don't allow it, you go with a company that allows it. If they don't allow it, it's still halal for you to do it, but then you have to trust the tenants, right? To make sure that they're not going to damage, because if they damage the house for you, it's going to be your responsibility.
Assalamu alaikum. First one is on the house and the interest.
Can you just hold the mic close to your, because you're going in and out.
But in the Bank of America, they told you can buy off the interest of the house.
You buy the interest of.
Upfront. Instead of paying interest on the 3.5 every month of the mortgage.
Oh, like you want to purchase a house.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so you go to Bank of America.
Yeah.
And
One time you were into, they told you to buy off the interest of the house.
okay,
So that every month you pay interest.
It's the same concept. An interest-based contract concept. It's the same. Banks, conventional banks, do not have any Islamic programs. There is nothing that we really can access. Whatever they do, all the offers, different ways, different shapes, different, they're all interest based. They're getting their interest somehow, somewhere. It's all interest based. So with conventional banks, there is really nothing. All they do sometimes they offer you to lock the interest rate. That's also they tell you, okay, buy it in advance so you can lock it at a low rate, but still haram. It's still interest based. No, it's the same thing, whether you pay the interest on monthly basis or you pay it all at once at a lower rate, it's the same concept. It's interest that you pay.
Someone. So in that case, what do you do? Because when you approach the Islamic bank, they still tell you, oh, we can't give you this kind of rate because your rate is already low and there's nothing we can do about it. So as an individual, what do we do in that process?
So if the matter is lower rate, then we cannot access conventional banks because they're offering better deals. We cannot do that. But if the Islamic bank refuses you, then you can go to the conventional bank. But we cannot go to conventional banks because they're offering a better and lower rate. Exactly like I said with the concept of Zabih Hanif, right? You cannot say, I'm gonna eat meat just because it's cheaper than the halal meat or the zabih meat. So sometimes we are paying more money, yes, but for Islamic, this is what makes Allah happy with us. It's halal way. But if the Islamic banks refuse, then yes, we can do conventional bank.
Question is, before you know about the Islamic banking, you did the thing. You bought the house, you have the low interest rate, now they introduce you to the Islamic banking. And when you approach them and they ask you all these questions and you told them your rate and they say, oh, we cannot offer this to you because you have low rate already. So on our whole part, since the Islamic banking cannot accept, they cannot take over the loan from us, what do we do?
Okay, I'm sure, I'm glad you clarified. This is different. Now you're talking about the concept of refinancing. You have a house already with a conventional bank and you wanted to make it halal. You went to the halal and they told you, I'm sorry, we cannot because you have already lower rate than us. Then you're fine. But you need as a Muslim now to do what? Try to pay off the loan as fast as possible. Whatever saving you have, just pay it until you get it off, inshallah.
Honorable Sheikh. But just to clarify, because we're looking at the nature of the contract, if a non-Muslim company offers a what looks on contract, so mushabah, so they're not it's a not an Islamic company, a non-Muslim company, but they offer the mushabah by contract, would we say yes, this is okay because we're looking at the contract is number one, and then number two, I say that because the company named Onify for North Carolina, they offered this, right? The problem with them is in order for you to not fall into going to the conventional bank, you have to finish paying off that house in 5 years.
Yeah, I looked at it. I wanted to. I was excited. I said, maybe we're gonna offer the Muslim community. But then when we got to this road blocker, then it was kind of unfortunate. You're right, but to answer your first question is yes, you can. Divan Bank is one of those examples. Divan Bank is actually a Jewish bank. It's a Jewish family bank. And by the way, Divan Bank is so strong that they don't sell the loans to government banks. and they go into the murabaha contract. So it's as long as the contract is Islamic, it doesn't matter if the owner is non-Muslim. It's like our beloved Prophet Muhammad ﷺ used to deal with the Jews in Medina, right? With all the contracts. No question, no problem.
Inshallah, we're gonna wrap up the question. I just want to see if anybody asks any question. We have the key. Come forward. All right. Any last question before? I know we have a famous sheikhs asking questions. And we want to make sure we give opportunity to the other ones. Okay, inshallah. If not, Adam. All right. So I think there's a question online. So the question says, I am a realtor. I sometimes help my clients with their mortgage application. Sometimes there's interest rate, guide them in reviewing offer. Is this around?
So it's the same concept like our dear brother asked about his company, the accounting company. The realtors, you have the privilege only to show homes and to get them interested in buying the house. And once they get interested, it has to be passed on to the finance department. If the realtor becomes the facilitator into finding loans and you get rejected and they go to another institution and another institution until they get you the loan and they get you the best loan, then this is facilitating. Then this will become haram. It's part of the four categories that we talk. Either you give it, you receive it, you facilitate it, or you witness it. Of course, it's less of a haram than demanding it, but still it's part of the haram riba that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala promised his wrath and war against those who are careless. Now, if we are, that's your job. Your job is to sell homes and facilitate loans for these people. So we can't do that.
Thank you very much. The question is this, there's this concept. Find the build, use, and they're the ones that you enter the contract with.